My brother's wedding is in 3 weeks, and I already RSVP'd no. My mom has called me 11 times in the last 4 days, and I've picked up exactly twice. The second time she was crying so hard I almost caved, almost. Let me back up. My brother Kevin is 31. I'm 28. Growing up, we were close in the way siblings who share a bedroom until their teenagers are close, not by choice exactly, but by proximity that turns into something real. We played the same video games, had the same friend group in middle school, and I genuinely looked up to him for most of my life. He was funnier than me, more confident, the kind of guy who could walk into a room and immediately find the person he needed to talk to. I was quieter, more of an observer. I think I spent a lot of my 20s trying to figure out who I was outside of being Kevin's younger brother. The relevant person here is my ex-girlfriend, Danielle. We dated for almost 3 years, from when I was 23 to just after I turned 26. I loved her. I'm not going to pretend I didn't. She was the first person I ever really saw a future with, and when things fell apart, it was ugly. She cheated on me with a coworker. I found out through a screenshot a mutual friend sent me, and the breakup was one of those slow, excruciating things where you keep having the same conversation for 6 weeks before someone finally moves out. I was a wreck for a good 8 months after. Couldn't eat properly, lost about 15 pounds, started seeing a therapist for the first time in my life. I'm not saying this for sympathy, I'm saying it because Kevin knew all of this. He watched me go through it. He was the one who helped me move her stuff out of my apartment. He knew exactly how deep that wound went. The other person you need to know about is Kevin's fiancée, Meredith. She's fine. We've never been super close, but she's always been perfectly nice to me. They've been together about 2.5 years now, got engaged last September. I was happy for them, genuinely. I even helped Kevin pick out the ring, drove with him to 4 different jewelers on a Saturday until he found one he liked. $1,400 princess cut, which I remember because he asked me to spot him 200 toward it, which I did, and which he has not paid back. That part's not really the point, but it's context. Now, the incident. 2 years ago, Kevin and Meredith threw a big housewarming party for the place they'd just moved into together. Maybe 40 people. Family, friends, coworkers. Nice backyard, string lights, a cooler full of beer. I came alone, which was still kind of a sore spot for me at the time because I'd only been broken up with Danielle for about 8 months at that point. But I was trying. I showed up, I brought a bottle of wine. I was making small talk with my aunt and uncle. About 2 hours in, Kevin gets up on the porch steps. He'd had maybe 5 or 6 beers at this point, and he starts doing this toast. Thanking everyone for coming, talking about how happy he is with Meredith, the usual stuff. And then he transitions into what I can only describe as a comedy roast, except I was the only one on the menu. He starts talking about how he's glad he found the right one on the first try, and he looks directly at me. A couple people laughed sort of nervously. Then he goes, seriously though, let this be a lesson if your girlfriend's working late every Thursday, maybe ask a few more questions. People got quiet. My face went hot. I remember I was holding a paper plate with potato salad on it and my hand started shaking, which is such a stupid detail, but I remember it so clearly. I thought that was it. I thought maybe he'd had too many beers and made a bad joke and would move on. But he didn't. He kept going. He said something like, nah, I'm just messing with him, but for real, my brother's the kind of guy who'd find out his girl was sleeping with someone else and still offer to drive her to work the next morning. And people, some of them laughed, not everyone. My mom looked horrified. My cousin Rachel literally put her hand over her mouth. But enough people laughed that it felt like the whole yard was in on it. I put the plate down on the nearest table and walked inside. Kevin shouted after me, come on, man, I'm kidding. I grabbed my keys off the counter and left. I sat in my car in their driveway for maybe 10 minutes because I was shaking too hard to drive safely. I could hear music still playing in the backyard. Nobody came out to check on me. That's not entirely true. Meredith came out about 5 minutes after I'd already started the car. She knocked on my window and said, he didn't mean it like that. I just looked at her and said, yes, he did, and I drove home. I didn't talk to Kevin for 3 weeks after that. When we finally did talk, it was because he called me, and his version of an apology was, look, I'm sorry if that embarrassed you, but you know I joke around when I drink. You're being kind of sensitive about this. I told him that what he did wasn't a joke. It was him putting my worst moment on display for 40 people, including our family, including people I barely knew. He said I was making it a bigger deal than it needs to be. We never really resolved it. We just moved on the way families do. Started showing up to the same holidays again, kept things surface level. I could tell my mom was relieved when we were in the same room without tension, so I played along. But something was different. I didn't call him anymore. He didn't call me. We went from brothers to something more like distant cousins who see each other at Thanksgiving. When he got engaged, he asked me to be his best man. I said no. I told him I'd come to the wedding, I'd be happy for him, but I didn't want to stand up there. He was annoyed but accepted it. Then a month ago, Meredith posted the seating chart on Instagram, and I saw that Danielle was invited, not as someone's plus one. Invited. I called Kevin and asked him about it, and he said, Meredith's been friends with her for a while now. It's not about you. That's when I RSVP'd no. My mom says I'm punishing Kevin for one bad night, and that family has to come first. My dad hasn't said much, which is his way of saying he agrees with my mom, but doesn't want to fight about it. My cousin Rachel is the only one who told me flat out that she thinks I'm making the right call. My friend Marcus said he understands but thinks I might regret it in 10 years. And maybe he's right. Maybe I will. Maybe I'll look back and think I should have sucked it up and gone, and sat at my assigned table, and clapped when they kissed and ignored Danielle from across the room. Maybe that's what the bigger person does. But I keep thinking about that paper plate shaking in my hand. I keep thinking about 40 people watching me become a punchline. And I keep thinking about how Kevin never once, not once in 2 years, gave me a real apology. I genuinely don't know if I'm handling this the right way, or if I'm letting pride make a decision I can't undo. What would you do? Let me know in the comments.